I'm going to start the mains on this tennis racket, and the first thing I'm going to start out with is a piece of PEX tubing, and I'm going to put it down here at the throat of the tennis racket. I'm taking the right side because that's the side that I want to start on. Then I'll take a starting clamp and I'll clamp the main string outside that spacer. The function of that spacer is to hold the starting clamp off of the support post, the top clamp plate, and protect the string from being smashed where you're going to go from the first main to the second main. Now I can tension the first main on the right side of the racket. Alright, I've got the bar now a little bit above level because I think that's as close as I can get to level without messing it up. Now I'm going to clamp these two strings down near the base of the racket. Now I can run in my second main and tension it. Alright, again I've got my bar just a little bit above horizontal because I have a pretty good feeling when I remove this clamp, this bar is going to fall just a little bit. And I don't want it to fall more than 5 degrees. Well, it didn't fall at all. But I can put it in there and clamp my string. Now I'm going to do the third main. Again, I've got my bar just a little bit above level, just so that when I move this clamp, if that bar falls, it won't fall more than 5 degrees. It fell a little bit, but it's still just about level. I'm going to clamp that string, and now I'm going to do one more string. Again, my bar is just barely above level. I'm going to move my clamp. It fell that time, and it fell quite a bit. So now what's happened is it's still less than 5 degrees, which gets me within a ½ pound of my reference tension. So I'm just going to go with that. Alright, now what I've done here is I've used a scrap piece of string, and this string here is not long enough to reach this gripper over here. So what I'd normally do is I'd pull tension on this string. Then after I get tension on that string, I'd clamp this string. I'd remove my starting clamp. When I remove my starting clamp, I can release my tension, and after releasing the tension, I can take the spacer off there. From this point on, you should be able to start your mains with no problem whatsoever. An alternative way of starting your mains is to center the string you're going to use for your mains on your tennis racket, then put a little tension on those first two mains. You can do it by pulling tension, or you can do it by just holding tension down. and then clamping your string right here. If you want to pull two strings at the same time, what I like to do is I like to take one of the mains, the one on the right side of the racket, install it in my gripper first, and then the main on the left side of the racket, and install it in the gripper. Then I'll apply tension. And that's pretty close. I'm not going to be using this as reference tension, so tension is good enough. And then I can grip these two strings as close as I can to the point where I started the mains. Then I can release tension. I'm going to install a spacer on one of the mains. It doesn't matter which side. Then I'm going to pull tension on that same string. The bar is just about level, so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to move the spacer up and against the frame as close as I can get it. Then I'm going to take my starting clamp and clamp that string as close to the spacer as I can get it. Then I can release tension. Now I can take the main on the right side and pull tension on it. Alright, I've got my bar just above level. I'm going to move my clamp. You notice that the tension arm fell, but it's still within 5 degrees. Then I'll clamp as close to the tensioner as I can. And then I'll do the same thing with 3 more mains. My bar is just about level, so I'm going to move this clamp now. It fell just a little bit, but it's still within 5 degrees. And then I'll put my clamp down here. What I would normally do, except I don't have enough string to do it because I'm using a scrap piece of string, is I'd run in 2 more mains here. And then once I get those 2 more mains ran in, I'll end up with my clamp up here at the top of the frame. Then I'll go back to the first main on the left side of the racket and I'll tension it. This string already has tension on it now, so my bar is not going to lift all the way up and then go down. So be careful how far you lift that bar. I'm just going to go up a little bit. I've got it just above level. I'm going to release my starting clamp. I'm going to take my other clamp and clamp these 2 mains right here. Then I can release my tension, take my spacer off, and then come in with my second main on the left side of the racket. And I do have enough to tension it. Alright, then I'll pull tension. Again, it's just above level, and I'll move my clamp. Alright, now what's going to happen, because I didn't run in 2 more mains up here, is this clamp is very close to that clamp. And it might be hard to get these 2 clamps in there without staggering my clamps. But if I ran in 2 more mains over here, then this clamp would be out of the way and I could easily clamp those 2 strings. I'm just going to go on and clamp them the way it is anyway. Okay, by putting one on top and one on the bottom, I got away from that spacing problem. Another thing that I could have done is, if you don't have a starting clamp, rather than using a starting clamp down here, I could adjust my clamp to hold one string down here. What I have to do is tighten it up, because normally what a blind clamp is used for is to clamp 2 strings at a time. With 2 strings at a time, I'm going to have a wider gap in there. So I'm going to have to close this up so that it only clamps 1 string. It might be hard to get this other clamp down in there, but you should be able to get it down in there. With a starting clamp, you'll never have a problem getting it down in there. That starting clamp might hit your cap plate, or it might hit your support post. So what you want to do is make sure that you've got some kind of spacer in here to protect the frame, and also to get it out past the support post so that you can clamp your string. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Hope you have a nice day.